Good morning. Welcome to Now You Know, and I'm Chris Perkins, and we have another very interesting show today. To my right, I have Kim Leo and Eli or Elijah Saul. Which do you prefer?
Eli works.
Eli works, okay. And we're in a building called Space on the River. And the backdrop here, if you can see it, is the Kennebec River. And a few days ago, I would have said we sit high above the Kennebec River, but not so high anymore. This is really amazing with what I think was about 5 inches of rain that caused this river to swell and lots of damage in the area, and hopefully everything gets repaired here pretty soon.
Yeah.
And so forth. So anyways, I had a chance to talk with Kim and Eli a little bit before we went on the air, and found out that they used to be star athletes in Skowhegan. Kim for the field hockey team, which has been an unbelievable program over the years.
It has.
And Eli for the only ever state championship basketball team in Skowhegan. So you did well then, and you've come quite a way since that time as well. So. And they now are, I guess, budding or current entrepreneurs here in Skowhegan. They own, what, 6 properties, did you say, all within a block or so of where Space of the River is. And Space of the River is at 181 Water Street. They also own what used to be the old Somerset Reporter building, which we're going to go to eventually, at 185 Water Street. So tell us a little bit about all this building buying you've got going on here and what you're doing.
I'll put that on him because he's like
the
go-getter.
Yeah. So I guess it all started, Kim was a therapist initially before I entered my profession, and we had been renting Cross Street, 12 Cross Street, and we purchased that building from your uncle. It was a professional building at the time, so that's where Kim started her practice, and that's where I started studying at 4 o'clock in the morning to pursue my profession. And from there, we started a company called ECHO, Evaluating Circumstances and Creating Outcomes. And I'm a behavior analyst by trade,
okay, right.
So I focus on reinforcement. And the reinforcement for me, for continuing my profession, was really community development. And so soon we had an opportunity to buy 9 Court Street, which was an old laundromat and Republican stronghold. So I had some motivation to do that. We went ahead and bought that and renovated the building. And then not long after that, we came down and bought the space. We kind of coined that acronym, Skowhegan's Project for Active Community Empowerment. So Kim can speak more about, because Kim's really been the driving force behind the space in terms of programming and coming up with programs for the community. And then we went over and bought 185 Water Street, which we gutted the entire building, and that's how it sits. But Build Maine Conference will be there this year on June 6th, and then there's one more conference after that. I can't remember the name of it right now, but and then we went up and bought 48 Court Street off Jean Shea, and Kim will be starting her company there, Mind Body Connection, which will be similar to what ECHO was doing. It's really social work, and Kim is a therapist, so.
Then my friend Celeste Chartrand just opened Pine and Willow, so she's renting the space upstairs. And so she's doing hair. She has 2 massage therapists, some Reiki masters, and she has another woman that's doing like foot detoxing and things like that. So she's trying to create a beauty and wellness center up there, which has been successful so far. She's been open for a month. And then at 9 Court Street, we have Kate Williams, who's running TK Fitness, and so I wish I knew how many years she's in operation. Like, I don't want to guess, but like
maybe 3 to 5 or something like that.
But she's created a great little gym space over there. There's a ton of youth that access the gym.
She's a fantastic personal trainer.
Yes. Yeah. And then when we, so this building here, the space, was formerly the Dill Center.
Mhm.
And so Eli saw the big for sale sign, and he did all the outreach. And so when I went and did the tour with him, my initial response was no way. And then we did the tour, and I was like, all right, I see your vision and your dream. And so we initially purchased it, and then Mark and Trish Willette have their partners with us. So the four of us own the space, and Trish is a third grade teacher at Madison Elementary, and Mark Willette is the owner of Juniors Construction.
Okay.
So
We used to walk DB Park every morning.
Yeah.
And so we knew that this was for sale, and every morning we would talk about it, probably for 6 months. And
Eli would be dreaming, and I'd be shooting.
yeah, I
his
mean,
dreams down.
generally that's how we roll. Like, I live in the future, and Kim is very grounded here, so it's a good combination for success, I think.
Yeah. So I initially had my private practice in this room we're in now, and then we bought 48 Court Street so I could expand. And so now Eli has moved his office space down here so his company can have meetings and things down here. And then we have the Skowhegan Entrepreneurship space that's above us, which has been, I think, a good success for them. And they're really trying to do that same vision of community outreach and making Skowhegan thrive. And we'll do the tour later, but then we have the gym space. So I've done a little bit of experimenting of what fits and how we make our vision a reality, I guess.
Well, you were certainly been fully involved in the movement that's going on in Skowhegan right now, in terms of fixing up the downtown area, making it a better place. I know you're also on the Village Initiative or Village Partnership.
Yeah, the design committee, village design
committee of that, and trying to make Skowhegan a more pedestrian-friendly area, and also very involved in the river park and so forth here too. So
We're trying to be.
how's progress going on that?
I think it's going very well. I mean, there's several different committees on the Village Design Initiative. And I think that Village Design Initiative, that term speaks a lot for the separate committees, because before that there were a lot of discussion about different silo projects, but the projects weren't related. For example, the new school that's coming, and people are talking about a new bridge coming to town, and Skowhegan just being a dangerous place to walk around. It's not the most like pedestrian friendly place in the world. And so now at this point, I think all of those committees are meeting individually, looking at DOT grants, bringing DOT into the conversation. And then, I'm on the Riverfront Design Committee.
Yes.
And that's really exciting, with a promenade coming from the Old Mill Pub all the way to the building that we're sitting in now, and wrapping around this building even. So that's going to be really neat. And yeah, it's nice to see everybody working together for the common interest. Even things like, okay, the walkability for students to the new school. So everywhere that's like within 1 mile of the new school, we really want kids to be able to walk safely to school, and to also access this incredible natural resource that we have. So
Yeah.
Well, they
it's
had
been
all these
exciting.
separate projects going on, and I guess the town finally said, let's take a pause here and figure this out.
Yeah.
And now you're trying to connect all that stuff with the Village Initiative or partnership or whichever you call it.
Yeah.
And it makes a lot of sense.
Yes.
And hopefully that's all going to come to fruition here before too long.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that the group, the project managers of the River Park and Christina Cannon, obviously they've fought long and hard for this. And last summer they used the space to invite the public in. So they had their architects come in, and they had renderings and samples. And I think it gave everybody a lot of hope, and just being able to see the options that they're looking at. It sort of made it maybe feel a little bit more tangible, just the visual connection. So I think it got a lot of people excited, and I mean, it feels like a no-brainer. Why wouldn't we want to make our community the best it could be, accessing, our river, which is the center of everything.
Well, and it sure is. And as I turn around and look at it, it's flowing rather rapidly here today. But Skowhegan really sits as majestically above a river as any town that
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
And it really is as pretty
Yeah.
an area as any town I know too. So it to not take advantage of that is almost criminal as far as I'm
Right.
concerned.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
so this is a big thing. I mean, there's been lots of talk. I've been around for a while.
Right.
There's been lots
Right.
of talk in Skowhegan over
Yeah.
the years. We're going to do this, we're going to do that. But unfortunately, talk didn't often lead to concrete actions.
Yeah.
But it does sound as though you guys are really taking the ball this time, and looks as though we're really going to get something done here, which
Yeah.
is very encouraging.
I mean, a lot has been done in just such a short period of time, you know, so I think
Yeah.
it just like keeping that momentum going and getting people engaged to work towards a common goal is important.
There's a lot of young people that have left Skowhegan and come back now, and the energy, the positive energy at our meetings and things like that, it's really exciting. I mean, you mentioned Christina and Sam Haight, and it's just you know, so far this year, you know, Angus King just came to town, and
Yes.
before that, a rep from Susan Collins came to town, and Jared Collins. Jared Golden, excuse me,
Golden,
thank
there you
you. He came to town also, and both of those guys, we sat in meetings upstairs, you know, in this center, and it's
Yeah.
really inspirational. And Christina's really inspirational, and
Yes.
just sort of being a part of that has been really awesome.
Yeah. Well, I mean, between what's going on immediately in downtown, and then you've got all these other major projects going on in
Right.
Skowhegan beyond anything
Mhm.
I've ever seen before.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean, just talking about the money that SAPI is putting
Yeah.
into the second paper machine out there, and then
New Balance.
moving back into town with New Balance, they already have got the fencing up over there for to start their expansion.
I
which
saw that the other
I
day.
think is going to happen
Right.
sometime this
Yeah.
month.
Right.
Going to get underway, and that's pretty exciting. Obviously, right here across the river on the island with the Bigelow Brewing.
Right.
Certainly more than that too. It's got the apartments and the hotel actually is part of that too. I mean, and the new school, the new fire department / police department building going on. I mean, we've seen more development. I think Steve Gavoni said this. He traces it back to like 1900.
Wow.
Was the last time we had development on the level that we have going on right now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's incredible. I
Yeah.
mean, I get a little scared about all of that at the same time. Like, is it really happening?
Yeah.
Wait, it is. Okay, yes.
Yeah,
definitely.
well, a lot is happening over at the Bigelow Brewing
Yeah.
Building.
Yes.
And now we can see stuff going on at New Balance,
Right.
and the school should be
Yes.
getting going here fairly
Yeah.
soon.
And they're making plans to make more, like, not only accessibility walking for students and that are going to go to the new school, but proposal of increasing the trail systems
Yes,
with lighting and call boxes, and, you know, DB Park is, you know, a short little trail system, but it's beautiful down
it is
there.
very beautiful.
And so, again, like, using the river as a focal point for the new trail system, I think
Yeah.
it sounds
Yep.
wonderful.
Oh yeah, it's very exciting, and you guys obviously are a big part of this. It seems.
I'm trying to.
Yeah, we're working on it, for sure.
You're buying up
Absolutely.
half the real estate in the area, so yeah.
We'll see if it's a good decision or not. We'll wait and see.
Well, I'm hoping.
So I also just wanted to mention that we have a specialized preschool up on Cross Street right now, and that's Brett Denovian Associates North. So BDA North LLC is operating that preschool, and we also run home-based programs. You know, so in the last 7 years, we've kind of been in touch with between 60 and 70 families, and we're working with young children diagnosed with autism. So that's sort of like the rock behind all of our personal development. Is social work. So
Does that tie in at all with the new Educare preschool thing going on at the new? I don't know what the name of that's going to be, but I like to. I'm going to
it's
refer to
I
it
think
as
it's
Margaret J.
Chase
Smith.
Yeah,
I think it's
so.
well, I'll put my own pitch in.
Yeah.
I think it should continue to be Margaret
I'm with
Jackson
you.
Building. So.
I'm with you, absolutely.
Yeah.
It doesn't, there's no plans for it to tie in, but a school like that is only as strong as its, weakest population or whatnot. So, I mean, we will have some type of role in working with their most vulnerable population, and those are, young children with disabilities. So I think so. There's a lot to be determined.
Okay. Space on the River. That's where we are right now.
Yes.
We're going to take a tour of that this morning. And what was your vision when you started Space on the River?
So I think we purchased it like around COVID time, correct?
Yeah, I think this will be our third year.
Yeah.
January 19th was the day we signed, but.
So I think if we were to think of one, like not only community connection, like we just wanted a space where people could get together and do what they love to do. I think that's kind of our mission, is like just, we've got the space and people can come and rent the space to do whatever they want to do. So we've had birthday parties. Steve McDaniel from the Rec has run a super popular, super successful men's league.
Yep.
That gets pretty serious.
Basketball.
Yep.
Yep.
And women's league as well.
Yes, and he ran a women's league for,
Yeah.
We have done a teen after school program, which John was a part of, to do arts and mural designing. What else have we done? I started
John already put a fantastic mural in
yes,
there.
we'll see John's
soon,
mural
so.
in there. And we've had sports teams rented. We were able to get a batting cage put up because John Christopher was the athletic director at the high school at the time when we purchased. So anything they weren't using, he just gifted us. So we have a nice batting cage net on the stage. We've had some concerts.
Domestic violence
For the field hockey Victories Over Violence, they do a summer program. I started a group called Becoming the Change 2 years ago, and that's like a teen group, and it's been wonderful because they run a lot of programming. So
they've been amazing.
They've been, so again, it's like their vision, and you just kind of point them in directions, and they just manage it and take charge. They ran a dance last spring that had kids lined up out the door, down the road, all the way up Water Street, and I probably had a panic attack. But it was a hit, and they just did a phenomenal job. They recently applied for the Martin Luther King Semester of Service project, and they completed 2 murals, so they used the space to paint their murals. So one is hanging on 185, and the other one is in the alleyway of the Bankery. But they've done a lot of cool programming for their peers, and obviously they're the voice of that demographic, so we really want to ask them what they want. So they've done trivia nights. They did a hip hop show with 207 Mafia, who's local. And yeah, so I mean, it's just like a variety of things that's happened in there.
Yeah, I've noticed that. There's a whole variety.
Yeah.
You kind of run the gamut of different community activities that go. I saw J.C. Christopher's doing a...
it's happening this summer.
3-on-3 or
yes, yep.
some sort of basketball program, right?
Yeah,
so
there's
JC
never
is
been a
coming
harder
out.
worker, more diligent.
And we just
player
feel
than
so
JC
privileged
Christopher, so.
when people like J.C. Christopher connect with us and ask us to use the space. We're like, oh my gosh, yes, you're like the celebrity here. Come on in.
Yes.
So she's coming in this summer and running a 3-on-3 and skills clinic.
Yeah.
And JC is one of those people who just wants to give back to her community, which is, Coach Daddy always says, you'll never regret volunteering your time, and giving back. And so I think all of these kids that create programming, like Becoming the Change, J.C. Christopher, Adam Savage and Quincy McCrae are going to run one similar to JC's for boys.
Okay.
So it's great to empower the youth in our community that they can do big things and be successful.
Yeah, that's really what it's about, is empowering. So getting kiddos and other community members to just understand that they can have whatever they want, right? Is in terms of just all right, put your mind to it, let's create some SMART goals and follow through with that.
Yeah.
And so that's really big.
So if somebody wanted, had a program or something, of course they gotta run it by you to make sure it's okay, but, what they do, you can rent this place for an hour at a
Yes.
time
Yeah.
or whatever.
I mean,
so-
we're super flexible.
We just rented to a wrestling association,
Yes,
so
yeah.
I don't think we've said no yet.
Yeah.
So.
So what we do is we limit the cost of running the facility by, like, you're in charge when you're here. So there
Yeah.
has to be somebody that's like responsible.
Okay.
So we have a $50 hourly rate. If it's an event, like a birthday party, we do charge a cleaning fee. But we just have, was it the facade grant that we did the new door?
Yes.
So we applied for the facade grant and we were able to get this new fancy door, with
Yes, thank you,
the,
Skowhegan.
yep.
Yeah.
With a remote, we have now a system where you can just remotely unlock and lock. So we
Okay.
just set a timer for people and they go in and they do their thing, and then when they're done, they leave. So, yeah, that's kind of how it works.
We just had a bunch of hip hop artists come up from Portland, and they were totally independent, and everything went really well,
Yeah.
and it was great.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
So how do you promote yourself?
We're not
Oh,
really
we
great
don't.
at marketing.
Yeah.
Well, every once in
don't
a
have time
while we'll
for-
make a
for
Facebook
that.
post,
Yeah.
but I mean, I think mostly when people do connect, it's been word of mouth.
Yeah.
So somebody's had a birthday party, and then somebody's come to the birthday party, and then they want the birthday party.
Yeah.
So we have like one of those old school big parachutes in there. We have floor hockey. We have scooter boards. We just have toys that people can use when they're there, karaoke. But I think it makes families feel safe to, they can just sit and watch, and they know kids are contained, and they just like let them run amok and have fun, and then and then
And
That's
then I think there's a cleaning fee after all this,
yes,
right?
yes. And we did actually just purchase a brand new like fancy floor scrubber.
Yeah.
So we're excited about
There's been
that.
a lot of hours of cleaning the space on the river.
Yeah,
and Kim is.
I would think if you
really
got
kinda
kids
headed
running
that
amok
up.
in here, you're gonna be
Yeah.
cleaning a bit.
Yeah.
So, all sounds pretty fascinating. Now, okay, so I think our audience would like to
Yeah.
see what this place looks like. It sounds as though you've done, just looking around, you must have put a lot of work into this place from what it was.
Yeah. I think our initial, like the first step was like phases.
Yeah.
So our phase one was the gym. We just wanted to get it like for occupancy and get permitted to use that space. So that was number one.
Yeah.
And then number two is we came over to these two spaces and finished them. And right now the center part is still unfinished, but we've got.
And our
a
partner,
vision.
Mark Collette, has been great. He's a contractor as
Yeah.
well. So, we'll purchase the flooring and he'll put it in. Or, so we've been, that collaboration has been really nice as well. I mean, the space, the area below the gym is a bit of a nightmare in terms of code. So the designer of this building must have been related to MC Escher in some way, shape, or form, because everywhere you go, it's a different level, and there's side staircases, and the code enforcement officers don't love that, nor the fire department. So we're working on trying to figure out a way to get a second entrance into the back to really be able to utilize some of the downstairs space. But right now we have occupancy here, up above us, and in the gym. So we're starting there.
Yeah.
This building goes back quite a ways,
Yeah.
and there's a fellow by the name of Richard Sampson
That,
Yes.
Yeah,
that
that's
owned this, I think originally.
that's the guy that hired Escher, I think.
Yeah,
He built it, right? He
and
built it, yeah.
Richard Sampson's supermarkets back in its day.
Yes.
And Richard wanted to, as I recollect, wanted to sell the building to the town of Skowhegan, and it had a pool
Mm-hmm.
in it at the time, and I don't think the town wanted the liability and
Yes.
so forth.
That's what we've
So-
heard.
Yeah.
So I think he was kind of in a huff
Yeah.
after that.
We're
And
still
the
trying
story
to get
has
that
it
pool
too.
back together.
that
So.
did he have flamingos in the pool, and he had a big fish tank in the entry of the gym?
Yep.
Like
It's-
he was very
all of that
eccentric.
stuff.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I guess I say I go back a ways. I'm trying to remember that,
Right.
but it was
Yeah.
interesting. But he wasn't happy, I think, when the town,
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
select people didn't approve of that.
Yeah.
When we were cleaning out one of the, we found a door that had stenciled Samson's Recreation. So we're keeping that
Yeah,
to be able to like frame at some point and hang up,
yeah.
just to keep the legendary.
It's unfortunate we
Samson
couldn't
still
bring
around.
back his enormous fish tank in the end. But,
Yeah.
Baby
Then the
steps.
breaks.
Yeah. Well, okay, we're gonna take just a little break and then we're gonna come back as a tour
Yeah, great.
of the building.
All right.
Okay, we're now taking our tour of Space on the River, and why don't you folks tell us where we're at right now?
So this is the entrance to the gym area. So if people rent, this is the entrance that they use. Those are our new fancy doors. That do a good job with
Yeah.
the weather.
Yeah?
And then this is the gym. And so I'd like to point out the amazing mural that John came in to volunteer his time and practice his graffiti work, which we love.
Yeah.
John, you did all this?
Yes.
I did, yeah.
He did.
Wow, he's got more talent. than
I know.
Absolutely
I know.
does. All that art education kind of worked out,
Yes.
right?
Pays off.
And then, so on the stage we have the batting cage that can be pulled out and opened and then also closed. And that's, when we do rentals for parties, we ask that people eat their food up on the stage so we can maintain the floor. Those benches were made by Marty Stevens Learning Center. Their students did like a woodworking project and then donated those down here, so that's great, we love that. Anytime the rec is getting new equipment or like chairs, we're able to, you know, get first dibs on purchasing them. So we bought the chairs from the rec. They are getting new pads up in their gym to match black. So they're gonna give us the blue ones, which we will put up on our walls so we can prevent any of the men or kids
Yeah.
or women getting hurt.
We've had a couple popped Achilles, hence the old
I
men's
can,
league.
I can imagine that men's league. You've got to have padding on the end.
And our ultimate goal is to obviously have hoops that we can drop from the ceiling so that we can really have full access to our stage up there.
We were hoping for more of a drama component up
Yeah.
there. We wanted to run drama camps and have more concerts and things like that. But
that's
and we
another
do
thing.
have concerts, but they have to go on one side of
Yeah.
the hoop or the other side of the hoop. So
But that's another thing we're open to is if people want to run programming, we would love them to come here and do that. So I'm trying to recruit a couple of kids to run a theater or just some sort of summer camp or something fun that kids can get into the arts and just enjoy.
Sounds like you guys are willing to try anything.
Yeah, of course.
So you're pretty open to,
Yeah.
but there's a lot of potential here with this
Yes.
facility.
Yeah.
And, yeah, this isn't nearly a regulation size
No,
basketball
right.
court.
So
which
what
is
is it?
again great for the old men.
And that's one of the
A few
reasons
steps up, a few
why
steps
JC chose to do like a 3-on-3.
Yeah.
And Eli's a big believer that that's the way the game should start to be played anyways,
Sure
right?
thing.
Like small
Yeah.
game.
Half the court.
And we have our closet over here that has all of our toys. So we have floor hockey, we have a bunch of balls, we have flag football, parachute, all of that. Actually, one of the cool things that's happening right now is Quincy McCrae from the high school was really interested in working with like the demographic of kids with disabilities or adults. So we outreach to Skills. So they come down here once a week and have a functional fitness class that Quincy runs with the help and support of Kate Williams from TK Fitness. So that's been super fun because then they get to come back to their old stomping grounds.
So when you're talking functional fitness,
Yes.
what does that entail?
So Quincy has done baseball. He's done basketball, obviously,
Kickball.
floor hockey,
Yep, I came to a kickball game. That
kickball.
was pretty cool.
He had a Jingle Bell scavenger hunt. So they had to find different places in the community based off of clues. We bought some fitness equipment that he's like done little boot camps with them.
Maybe some Pilates.
Yes, they attended a
Pilates
Zumba
session?
class that the Scouting Outdoors, actually, they use the space during the winter time to run their Zumba or yoga.
Oh, yeah.
So one of the times overlapped with them, so Quincy took the class to the Zumba, which Quincy said it was the best workout he's had.
It's nice that you're partnering with Skowhegan Outdoors.
Yeah. They've been they've
or Skowhegan Indoors. In this
Yeah.
case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like yesterday it was raining, so they did Zumba here.
But Skowhegan Outdoors is another pillar program in the community. So they've just moved from 48 Court Street, the building that we purchased, down here to Water Street.
Yes.
And they're going to have a lending library for their outdoor equipment. So they're going to rent kayaks and possibly mountain bikes. I'm not positive about that, but lots of other outdoor gear. So being, partnering with them has been pretty awesome too.
We're hoping to get down there sometime soon.
Yes,
Awesome.
good,
We're
good.
waiting for
Yeah.
Joe's flat iron here to
Oh,
get
yes.
Me
constructed.
too. How about a
Maybe
good espresso?
do the full tour down there too.
Right. Yeah. Awesome. Okay, we can keep moving.
Yeah, keep going.
Okay.
Great. I need to see the bathrooms.
We will show you one of the bathrooms just because we kept the strange like tile work and everything a lot. Like we just kept all that because we thought it was really fun.
The disco feel.
So as you can see, very funky tile.
Program.
I was going to say this is probably the first bathroom
Tour you had?
tour before, but
We just had to point it out.
Yeah, I mean, there are a few other bathrooms in the space that are pretty miraculous. So we're talking 10,000 tiles or something like that.
Well, you have the old pool room. That's got like a
should
million
see it
tiles
right
in
now.
there.
Well, actually, right now, I don't know if you want to film that or not, but our son has taken that over.
Oh, cool.
He could probably use some lessons from you, Joe.
Yeah.
So we come down this little pathway. We have some clothes over here for the clothes drive that's coming up at the rack. A lot of the Becoming the Change activities happened in this room. They were doing their murals in here and whatnot, but this room could easily turn into a sound studio or any other kind of cool ideas, little arts ideas. We did just hear Kevin James just is going to be renting in Skowhegan just up the street, so
that's good.
I saw him on the Rotary this morning.
And Kevin James actually stopped in here when the kids were working on the mural, so that he was very excited to see that there.
Cool. This is another room that's very similar to the one we just went to, another small area to kind of hang out in. Everything is different levels as well. This ramp is not up to code. Really, from here on out, nothing is up to code. So this ramp will have to come up. We'll probably have to destroy some concrete stairs, put a little lift in there to make it ADA accessible. There's this really kind of cool little alley down below the pool, and there are these circular windows that you can view into the pool, which is rather strange, and also all kinds of lights that go into the pool. There are, down the stairwell, then up the stairs, another bathroom. Like I said, from here on out, everything is a different level. And we're not sure if that was because that was cool in the 50s. Maybe they ran into ledge and they were like, look, this is where we're building. So there are a bunch of kind of small rooms along the way. And so we're just starting to kind of clear these out as we speak. We thought this was like an old cafeteria at some point. And again, we will just be clearing this out. You notice over there, we have a new level. You want to throw that light on and we'll go this way? Keep going this direction. We'll step up. Kind of a back closet, and then probably what would have been a cafeteria at some time. I think the grand plan here is to utilize this window and create a new entryway into this area. So if we have a new entryway, we don't need a sprinkler system down here because now there's an exit where it needs to be for the fire. So everything is like fire and ADA. So you have to accomplish both of those. The multiple levels does not lend itself to ADA, and the distance between exits does not lend itself to fire. So we're going to work on a ramp and a second entrance. And another level with another ramp. So we have hollowed out these bathrooms, and we can envision maybe float tanks in here one day, or sensory deprivation float tanks, or a steam room, sauna, something along those lines would be really cool.
These were all tile. So one of our helpful teenage friends has been doing some work doing the demo. This was also another, oh, I guess it wasn't there, but another tile bathroom.
Wow.
Yeah, so there's 9 windows here that were bricked in, and we're going to bring those back. So I believe Mr. Sampson owned this building as well, and this could have even been a grocery store at one time.
I think it was.
And then a cracker factory.
That I don't remember.
Also, the newspaper reporter.
Absolutely.
And then a shoe factory,
yes.
of some sort. So this is the town office side will stay the same. We don't own any land on this side, but it is public parking. So the idea is to partner at this point with Main Street on a new commissary kitchen, which is fascinating. I met a guy named Carlos the other day who's homesteading in East Madison, and he is really wild about making burritos. And this is going to be the perfect place for. I gotta use my remote control or something.
When are you hoping to have this up and running?
Good question. I think we gave ourselves a 2-year window about 6 months ago. So I would say, I would like this to get started around the same time that the promenade comes in.
Yeah.
So basically, this is the street side here. And we're going to come in, you're going to come into an area that will serve like some tapas or something consistently, probably a small bar area. And then around this side, you're going to come around and there'll be tabled seating. There'll be a lot of tables in this area too. But there'll be some tables here. There's these 9 beautiful windows that kind of face this courtyard. There'll be a glass wall from here all the way to the ceiling of this building, and the reason is because this will be the largest kitchen in Skowhegan. Afterwards, it'll be around 3,000 square foot kitchen, and we can have up to like 20 people working in here on various projects. So young food entrepreneurs, they don't have to be young, but food entrepreneurs will come in and they can use this bakery or the cooking area or the food preps, or they can rent space in the coolers, but they can use this address, 185, as their commercial kitchen address, so they don't have to have that at home. They can just come in and drive their food trucks up and kind of get going.
Is the hope that if they're successful here, then they will go out and establish their own business locally?
Yeah, and I wish Patrick Moore was here because he's sort of heading that up. He's kind of in charge of this vision, but also above us is the Entrepreneur Center. So they're going to go hand in hand. So they can come into the Entrepreneur Center and learn accounting or the other various things that they
So the goal
need.
is incubator, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. Food incubation center. Yeah, that's another good way of looking at it. I like the term commissary kitchen. Portland, Fork Food Lab in Portland. We all went down there and visited that place, and then that's sort of where the vision came from and kind of the designs. But so fingers crossed, as with everything else, this gets going.
So they named this one Beauty in the Details. And their logo, or their, what do you call it, but their little thing is the bee. So they try to hide their bee in the mural. That's the name of all the members. So another thing from the facade grant, we got new doors. Here.
Nice. Yeah, it's bigger than it looks from the outside.
Bigger, yeah. It's almost 6,000 square feet.
Yeah.
So initially, these I-beams are kind of something I really, really fell in love with. It's kind of like, did they take apart a bridge at the same time that they were building this place or what? But you have these like really vast I-beams, and it's an addition to the original structure. And the original structure has these amazing H trusses, and they're kind of down there. I'll snap on some lights. But and so unfortunately, there were about 20 rooms in this place and about 3 ceilings, each with various amounts of insulation. And so we spent about a year and probably a dozen dumpsters just gutting the place, and that's where we are now. So,
Well, it was quite a mess when you guys took it over.
it was,
I
when it
think.
rained outside, it rained
Oh,
inside.
yeah,
and,
quite a mess, but I
I'll
didn't
snap the lights
realize
on,
this
and there's
was
not
this
too many
big.
lights.
I know.
but-
So initially there was, I think there was like 3 or 4 offices in the front, and then the back was more open to where the machinery was.
Yeah.
And so Facebook allowed for Eli to post the different like machines, like come take them. So we had people coming to scrap metal. We had some teenage boys that came in and did a lot of work. And as you can tell with
Yeah.
the skateboard ramps, it's become the indoor skate room for our son and his friends, which is also
That's
great and
pretty cool.
exciting to see because they're just in here jamming out.
A brick building with these I-beams and everything. I mean, structurally, this is
Yeah, so we
pretty
hope to keep
amazing.
everything exposed in the future. We're going to have to dig into the floor, cut into the floor to create new plumbing. We have this really cool, like, sprinkler system. It's like, ancient, and hopefully some of that is still good, because we will need to sprinkle the building. But back here, a little bit past this line, the kitchen is going to be, all of this, all the way back to that third I-beam.
Okay.
And so this will all be commercial kitchen. It's going to be enormous. And there'll be a glass wall that goes to the ceiling, but everything will still stay exposed. And then these 9 windows will open up if anybody dares to do it. Eventually we'll find someone to do that. And then, there'll be little tables, and we're really kind of hoping for a flow from the front doors right back to the river. And then also orienting everything towards the space courtyard.
Yeah.
And then maybe one day we can, the LaCase building will have businesses oriented this way as well, hopefully. We can kind of.
Let us hope.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
This is an amazing space. As I said, I haven't been inside this building in many, many years, and you took over what could be best described as a total disaster when you bought this, right? But you cleaned it out nicely.
Yeah, C.O. Beck was the first ones to come in and put on a brand new flat roof. So literally we had lots of mold and water coming down the walls and things like that. The guy who I bought it from was not a fan of Skowhegan. He lives in Miami. And he really didn't want any part of this place, but I called him up to just say that I was his neighbor, and he kind of barked at me initially, telling me that all the parking spaces were his. And I said, well, can we talk about that? And then, a couple hours later, we had an agreement. So.
And it rained during the Whoville this year, and so Main Street put all of their stuff in here, and the Becoming the Change had their own Whoville going on inside the space, so that worked out nicely.
That's right, they had to. Really.
Yeah.
But thank God you had all this space. Well, when they initially said they were going to put it in here, I didn't think this place was very big. But now I see that I was wrong. It is. It's.
It didn't feel big because it was like all broken up into little rooms, and like Eli mentioned before, there's probably 3 layers of a ceiling. So.
Now, upcoming in June, is it the Build Better?
Build Maine.
Build Maine conference is coming up. You want to describe just a little bit about what's
So
going
Eli,
to
why don't you
happen
do
here?
that?
So, Kara approached me and asked about the Build Maine conference, and she works for Build Maine. Last year they were in the spinning mill over here, and what's really cool, they love Skowhegan. And the rate of development in Skowhegan is such so that they had Build Maine conference there last year. They can't do it there again because construction's going on, right? So they've decided to have it here, and with any luck, they won't be able to do it here next year because construction will be
I hope that
happening.
trend keeps happening.
We can keep moving them around.
Exactly right. Keep bouncing them around. Yeah.
But this is a tremendous amount of space. This is great.
It'll be filled right up. So what's crazy is that the kitchens and bathrooms go to here. So this area behind you is about 3,200 square feet of kitchen, which is going to be huge. It's going to be bigger than the hospital, bigger than the high school. the biggest kitchen in town. So
So you're going to put in all this commercial equipment?
yes, Main Street's going to be in charge of the kitchen area. I'm going to be in charge of this small little tapas area out front. So, which will be new to me, and I have some friends that are going to jump in and try to help me on that venture. So, and then this is the pool area, which may surprise some viewers. Please don't be too surprised. We have unleashed our 13-year-old and his friends.
Mark and Trish also have a son the same age as ours, so they have a love for graffiti, and we're like, just go for it.
Yeah, I caught my son with some spray paint cans in his backpack, and he was not sure where he was going that day. And I said, actually, Jacoby, I know where you're going. You're going to go right down to the pool area and the space, and then you're going to come back home.
So this is all pool under.
Yes, underneath
Exactly.
this.
Yeah, this whole area is a pool. It's 9 feet deep on this end, and our vision is to bring the pool area back. We probably have like 60 lights in here, and we need probably 5.
Yeah.
So getting rid of this electrical is going to be the next on the list. It would also be really cool to create some windows both here and on the stage above us, overlooking the Kennebec River. But so I think there's an organization up in the Forks. I'm not entirely sure what their nonprofit is, but it's a whitewater organization, and they're looking to partner with us on this pool so that they can run whitewater. They can roll their kayaks in here and run camps for people to get back on the river.
Yeah. Well, hopefully they'll be able to do it in the real river eventually.
Yeah, exactly. I'll be in that camp, so.
This is when the Dill Center had the building, this is where they did all their sorting. So they would sort through and make their rags that they would sell, which now one of the former Dill Center, I don't think they call them students, but clients, is now that he's no longer part of this and they're not making rags and stuff, he's doing it as a side gig for himself.
I saw that.
John, which is awesome.
Nice.
So yeah.
Yeah.
This is where John did his art projects with the teen group.
Yep.
They came in with Ivor Luffing.
Yep.
Okay.
And then we tried an after-school teen program last year with the help of Dave Dorr through the SATC with the grant money. And one of the activities too, they brought in like ghost meters because they were all like super freaked out.
I remember that.
I don't think anything went like too wild or crazy, but so yeah.
And then this leads right back into
Yeah,
where
this
we
leads
started.
right back into Eli's office,
Yep.
which is now.
Oh,
cool.
I
Yeah,
see.
Yeah,
So,
it's one big circle.
so we have completed the grand tour?
Yes.
Well, this has been fascinating.
Oh, thanks for coming.
And we get to see stuff that's already been accomplished and a lot of strong possibilities
Yes,
here for the
yeah.
future. And you folks, as I said, there's a lot going on in Skowhegan right now, and apparently you play a pretty major role in that. So it's very exciting. So what we'll need to do is come back another year and
That'd be great.
do a little
For
progress
sure.
check on you guys and see what's
That'd be
happening.
great.
But this is absolutely fascinating, and I thank both Kim Leo and Eli Saul for being on our show today. And now you know.
Thank you, Chris and John.
Yes.